Hello everyone, welcome to the Sports Doyen. I'm Kushagr. Today I have Anuraag and Susheel with me. We're here today to have a look at the third game week of the Premier League. We had some fascinating matches. Leicester went to the Etihad Stadium and created a massacre there. And, we saw something unexpected lines at Anfield and some really intriguing games. West Ham actually ended up winning when Moyes was at home, and Wolves. That's another topic that we'll have to discuss. But first things first, hope both of you are doing well. Steel and Anurag, hope things are fine.
Yep,
Absolutely,
going
bro.
well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so we'll be straight away, right off the bat, we'll start with the Liverpool Arsenal match. Considering, me and Sushil, we were on the preview last week,
Yeah.
and your prediction, even though it was 2-0, the difference of 2 goals was maintained. And
Yeah.
in fact, you must be very happy with the performance last night because not apart from a couple of chances that Arsenal might have created, it never really felt like Liverpool were in any danger of not winning that game.
Yeah, I thought they were well in control of the game throughout. Even right before the goal, it didn't seem like Arsenal were about to score. The goal sort of just came out of nowhere. And after that, even after Arsenal scored, I don't think Liverpool changed their game at all. I think they were just doing what they were doing before that. So um, I don't know if things would have been or if the scoreline would have been, bigger or smaller if Arsenal had not scored. I don't think Liverpool changed their gears at all. I thought Mane and Salah were both on point yesterday. Both played really well. And especially Mane, I think, was very aggressive from the start. And obviously Robertson had that moment where he made a mistake that led to Arsenal's goal, but then he redeemed himself on the other end. And overall, I think it was a very dominating, well-controlled performance. Um, I- if you remember last week, I had said the one player that I was a little concerned about was Aubameyang, but I didn't really see him anywhere in the game. I think Lacazette was a bigger threat than him. So that being the case, I didn't think Arsenal posed a lot of problems. But otherwise, yeah, I think like I mentioned last time too, just speaking about Arsenal as well. I thought they're still on the right track, right? They're still developing their attack a little bit. They're figuring out how to move the ball forward. Obviously, Liverpool's not an easy opponent for them, but I could see the structure there for them to, do well this season. So overall, I thought it was a good game. Jota had a good introduction to the Liverpool team. He had three chances, got one goal in about 20 minutes. So that's, as good a debut as you can ask for. And yeah, I'm hoping, Liverpool sort of keep a run going and build up a decent lead above maybe City, Chelsea, whoever else ends up challenging. And that'll help us as the fixtures start getting more and more congested.
Yeah, picking up on that, we did discuss this a little last time, Sushil, and I'll come to Anurag with this. You've seen a trend of an upward trend. We were quite effusive of Mikel Arteta last week. During the preview, all three of us on the preview panel, we were quite in the agreement that he's taken this team forward with Arsenal. But yesterday again, it's okay. Something that really infuriates me personally is this playing out from the back. Okay, I agree. I agree. In the modern game, it is a requirement that you can't just keep lumping ball forward. But whatever happened to trying to position, considering Arsenal were playing with a back five, couldn't you just position your wing backs, 2/3 up to the pitch, or like just a little further inside from the halfway line, and try to ping the ball to them rather play it with Holding and Lewis every time? Because every time they try to do that, I was watching it with an Arsenal fan, and his heart was in his mouth every time they tried to play out from the back. And even though they have been playing out from the back, the selection as well of not selecting Gabriel and playing Maitland-Niles, who sort of redeemed himself in the second half, but I still felt I do not understand why Saka didn't play, and there's so many questions, Anurag. I mean,
Yeah.
have we been too quick in trying to give praise to Mikel Arteta?
That is maybe yes we are, but I think the one point that was being mentioned in the video, I did watch it. So the one point that you guys, uh, Sulaksh was trying to mention was he did bring in certain amount of positivity. Yeah, that is I think undeniable. the modern Arsenal camp. I think yesterday in our football group on WhatsApp, I think I did mention this is the first time in a long time I'm seeing Arsenal and Liverpool heading into a game with this amount of confidence. This was unheard of for a good decade or so. Either Liverpool used to be down and out, or either Arsenal used to be down and out. This never happened for a long time. So yeah, I think maybe he did get a few things wrong yesterday. I think Ceballos should have started if he had any intent of getting those goals. And as Susheel was mentioning about the threat that Aubameyang did not, which he did not possess yesterday. I think that had a lot to do with Danny Ceballos not starting, because every time,
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool did well to cut down all the channels that were trying to link up to Aubameyang. Aubameyang, I can't remember one good run that he made, except for the one which he made towards the end, right at the end,
Yeah.
which I think he should have gone for a shot, but he didn't. He
Yeah.
didn't. I think that could have been a good chance for him. But yeah, besides that, as we saw, there was nothing that was coming from Aubameyang. I think uh, credits to Klopp there as well. I think he did. He always does his homework well. He never takes any player for granted, and I think I don't know if he was very specific about Aubameyang, but every time you could notice uh, Fabinho was trying to cut down those through balls. There was some brilliant interception work that was being done from Liverpool yesterday. So I think, yes, the Salah and Mane were absolutely brilliant. The fullbacks were brilliant, but I think the midfield did a great job too yesterday. So I think that did a that was very crucial in ensuring Arsenal had absolutely no chance yesterday. I think Mikel Arteta was trying to play that sort of a game which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played against City at Old Trafford, like cut down
Yeah.
Liverpool completely, and that one or two chances that you get, try and do the best as you can. Maybe to a certain extent it did work out, but Liverpool were just too good on the day, and I think yeah, Gabriel should have started. Maitland-Niles, he was. I don't think he was at his best in the first half. Even in the second half, I don't think that was that was very impressive. Maybe to a certain extent, as you said, he did redeem himself, but I think Gabriel could have done a lot better, especially of what we saw in the first two games. Yeah, overall, I think what I took away as a neutral fan was that was a brilliant game. And Jota, I was actually a little worried if that would have dented his confidence, because he missed a sitter of an opportunity earlier. And there was another chance when he could have had an open shot, but Salah tried to intercept. And maybe that I thought that could have dented his confidence. But then again, he got the goal. It was sort of coming. So yeah, that was a brilliant performance. And yeah, yesterday both the fullbacks, man, especially that second goal from Alexander Arnold to Robertson, just beautiful football.
Yeah,
And
I mean, you cannot cannot really question that at all.
Indeed.
Just a final point with you, Sushil,
Mhm.
about Liverpool. We mentioned some defensive errors
Mhm.
post lockdown as well, even prior to the lockdown. I would say, post the Watford result, the sort of an urgency to not concede goals sort of went
Yeah.
away with Liverpool, and then the Atletico Madrid result. That was a one-off. You play that game 100 times, Atletico don't win it 99 times, but they did on that occasion, and they ended up scoring quite a few goals. Since
Mhm.
then, we've seen a glut of goals being scored against Liverpool, and to be very honest, that goal should never have gone in, and I do not
Yeah, I agree.
understand what Robertson is doing there. And it seems like it's a different part of the back four every week. We've had Van Dijk with his couple of errors, Joe Gomez or whoever else who plays there, Matip. We've seen them commit errors as well. Same
Yep.
can be said about Trent as well, because I agree, he's the best attacking right back in the world without doubt. He's
Alisson
probably the
saved them
physical.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's probably the best overall right back in the world as well, because his attacking side is so heavily
Right.
influential in matches. But he's prone to being skinned. And Robertson, whom you probably find more dependable, and he created an error as well. Didn't cost you guys at all. But are you worried for the season, because it seems like a trend now with Liverpool, because it's not been like 4 months of errors now.
I think yesterday's error, whatever you want to call it, I think that was more a mistake than anything else. I think Van Dijk's, sorry, a miskick rather than anything else. I think the Van Dijk error that happened a couple of games ago, that
Yeah.
was a proper error. I think yesterday was just, it's just one of those things that
Miscue. Yeah.
happens. Yeah, it was a miscue. But as far as your question goes about whether I'm worried, I told you last time around, I'm keeping my eye on that as well. Um, but I don't think what happened yesterday concerned me as much. There was a moment, if you remember, when Lacazette had that one-on-one with Alisson,
Yeah.
which Alisson saved. Um, what happened there was Alexander Arnold was one or two steps behind the rest of the defense, and he played him on.
Yeah.
Something that's changed recently. So Liverpool rely a lot on the offside trap. They get the highest number of offsides per 90 minutes among in all of Europe. I think 3.71, and the second highest is Bayern 2.6. So it's a huge gap. I have a feeling that that's weakening a little bit. And this whole thing that you said about making errors, right? That's also feeding into it. So I think there is some work that's needed there. It hasn't cost us yet in a meaningful game, other than Atletico last season, which was also partially because Alisson wasn't playing. Um, so it hasn't really punished us yet, but I'm hoping Klopp, really drills down on that, and I'm hoping it gets a little better as the season progresses. Um, I'm not too concerned. We did have a string of, what was it, 10, 12 clean sheets last season. So as long as we regain that form or something close to it, I think we'll be fine. But yeah, like I said, I'm keeping my eye out for that.
Yeah, and apart from that, you can't really fault Liverpool, and you can't really fault Klopp either. Only thing you can probably fault him off for is probably getting baited by Roy Keane. But yeah, that's for another day.
Yeah.
He totally got baited, bro. It's like
Yeah.
he did not listen to the whole statement and just
Yeah.
lost his rag.
Unnecessary, but yeah.
What was the word? What was the word? Sloppy.
Sloppy,
Sloppy,
yeah.
yes.
Sloppy was the word.
What
Yeah,
Roy Keane
so
said
anyhow,
was sloppy
anyhow.
moments. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so from sloppy moments to sloppy defensive records and sloppy performances and sloppy expectations, I guess, or probably not. We saw a ridiculous game at the Etihad. I mean,
Yeah.
the possession stats, as I read here, are 71-29. And, you see the number of attempts, meaningful attempts. City did not even sort of lay a hand on Leicester. They did get two goals. But if you see the heat maps, the entire game was played in front of the Leicester back four. And I know Pep's talked about having injuries and everything else, but even City's second squad should be able to beat Leicester at home. What happened? And I'll straight away go up with Susheel here because he has a personal question to ask of Mr. Pep, because he sort of predicted this in the last video, and I think we all agreed, because we think he's a little stubborn, but this is ridiculous. Now, this bordering on this blatant negligence, at this point, because now he's gotten in Ruben Diaz. Now, whatever Ruben Diaz is, like, you think he can take out the prevailing issues in that team?
So my assessment of what's happening with City, and I would love to hear from an actual City fan what they think about this. I think they'll have a more nuanced view. But City have spent more money on their defense since Guardiola arrived than any other part of the pitch, right?
Yeah.
They've brought in player after player for obscene amounts of money. Cancelo, I think.
Kyle Walker cost 50.
Kyle Walker, yeah.
Mendy,
I mean, Walker's,
Mendy 45 plus. Yeah.
I don't fault them on Mendy, though Mendy's also a little bit funky, but Mendy and Walker actually play in the first team, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But the centre backs they've brought in, it's just been a complete. I don't want to say complete disaster, but it's been poor, right? And for a team looking to compete at that level, you'd think their recruitment should be a little, better. Though what I told Kushagr last week was that I don't think this is a recruitment issue. I think this is a coaching issue, and you could see it on when they played Leicester this weekend. I agreed they didn't have their first team defense. Eric Garcia was playing at centre back, but Jamie Vardy's 34, and I know he was the top scorer last season, but you should sort of come up with a plan to stop him. You maybe get in some reinforcements from midfield. You figure something out. They had nothing. It's like they didn't even try. The way the goals were going in after some point, it was absurd. And you've seen this over and over again with Guardiola, right? When he was at Bayern, not so much at Barcelona, but ever since he was at Bayern, there's this tendency to lose games big, right? It's
Yeah.
all just defensive errors, defensive mistakes, and I was reading about this on some website. There's a tinge of arrogance about the way he sets up his team, right?
Yeah,
He doesn't show respect to the other team's attacking players. And this is
yeah,
especially true, which is why I think Leicester really do them every time. I think with Leicester, he does not consider them at a level where he needs to change his game to accommodate
Yeah.
their strengths. And it really shows. But, I think I don't know if Ruben Diaz fixes their issues, right?
yeah.
I don't know if Koulibaly would have fixed their issues. People just assume he would have, but he spent a lot of money, and I haven't seen any, significant improvement since Company is left. Maybe Anurag, you can add your opinion on this, but for me, I don't think this signing really solves anything for them. I think these issues are going to continue.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
just
I think
adding,
100%. Yeah, true.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, just
Hmm.
adding on to Susheel's point there, Anurag,
Hmm.
as a probably an extended question to this part
Yeah,
only. Susheel said he probably doesn't pay enough respect to the opponents. That is the exact criticism that has been labeled against him for the Champions League losses.
yeah.
Not just with City, it's with Bayern as well. If you remember the first season of City, he lost to
Monaco.
Monaco,
Yeah,
and
Everton 4-0.
oh yeah, that Ronald Koeman match. Yes, of
yeah,
course, Everton 4-0. And again, it's the same thing there as with Monaco, and I felt to an extent against Lyon as well. Just absolutely underrating the opponents.
yeah.
This whole concept of if I have possession, you'll not be able to score. I don't understand that. You can never have 100% of the possession. I don't. You think it's a circle and a roundabout thing with him now? Because how long can he keep staying at City and not win the Champions League? I know it's a very ridiculous question to ask, considering what all he's achieved and what all he's won with the club. He's the greatest manager in the club's history. But still,
Yeah, I think Sushil was spot on there. I think it has to do a lot with his arrogance as well. I think, see, I understand the Johan Cruyff style and everything. You want to play attractive football and everything, but if you are making around about what almost eight players are playing up forward. You're
yeah,
just leaving two people behind against people of Jamie Vardy's caliber. I think it's been 4 years since he's come here, and he's still underestimating a Premier League team. This is Premier League, boss. QPR, gave made them run for their money in 2012 on a day of days. It was eventually they got over the line that day and they won their first Premier League. But this is that sort of a league. You cannot take any team for granted. This is not La Liga. This is not Bundesliga at all. Most importantly, and I don't know. Again, of all the teams, I think if he takes even the likes of Brighton, likely the team that has been really impressive in off late, even they could perhaps go and get 2 or 3 goals. This is I understand the whole attacking system that he wants to try and build and everything, but again, yeah, as he said, I think maybe yeah, Koulibaly could have been a good signing. God knows if again that would have been a similar issue. He's got an Ake, Ruben Diaz, a good player, but they've had good players. They've always had good players. Their bench is much better than what Manchester United have right now. Their bench is much better than what Leicester City have right now. A lot of their players on the bench. They would love you. Teams like Leicester City would love to have some of their bench third choice players in their team, their first team. That is Manchester City, and that is how their spending has happened over the years. It has to come down to the coach, and they will. The time is not far away when the entire City board will be like, hang on, okay, this is going way too out of control. Now we've given you the time, we've given you all the money that you wanted, way more than what a coach actually requires to prove his worth. And still, that Champions League title, which probably was a great chance last time, I think that was the best shot City ever had in their history to go
yeah,
and
of
get the
course,
Champions League. The best shot that they ever had, and they blew
yeah.
it up. They blew
And
it up
it's
of all the of the Leon of all the teams to Leon of all the teams. I
yeah,
think there is going to be some serious scrutiny in the coming months.
Yeah.
See, again, if this is another season, I have a strong feeling if they don't get that Champions League, or if they don't win either of the Champions League or the Premier League this season, I think this could be Pep Guardiola's last season in English football.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean that could be the case. It could, there are other complications there as well. Who wins the election in
Yeah,
Barcelona as well? that could be a deciding factor for him, with Leo Messi probably in the last 1 or 2 years of his career after this.
Yeah.
So it could play a deciding factor there. But just the final word on City from you guys. Do you still expect them to be the closest challengers to Liverpool, Susheel? Honestly speaking, as a neutral amongst these two teams from the outside, I can't see City challenging you because they shouldn't have won against Wolves either. So I don't
Yeah,
know, and I
exactly.
don't know if Ruben Diaz fixes anything because again he'll be exposed again by Rodri, who's now coming out and saying
Yeah.
the other team was lucky to score 5 goals. And anyway, enough about City. But yeah, do you really still consider them as the closest challengers?
I mean, for me personally, I think it's between them and Chelsea. Um, Maybe Tottenham because Mourinho may work something out of them, but even I'm not sure about Tottenham. That's just a wild guess on my part. But yeah, I'd still put them as the closest challengers. I think they still have the ability to put really weak teams to the sword. Um, whether or not they lost 9 games last season, whether or not they're able to convert some of those into draws and wins, that'll probably determine it. But based on what I saw, last week, I think it'll be difficult for them. There's no Aguero, there's no Jesus. For how long? I think a month, 2 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them. I don't want to write them off. Obviously, Guardiola is a great coach. Kevin De Bruyne is the best player in the league, so can't write them off. But yeah, it looks difficult.
Yeah, they're favorites to finish
Yeah, same for
second,
you,
but
Anurag.
again, I think it's going to be difficult to get on level terms with Liverpool. Liverpool are too complete a team right now, and there are too many holes. See, I think the standard to win the Premier League, to get your hands on the title right now, are so high,
Yeah.
and in spite of doing so much, I think City do are not quite yet there to jump and reach up to that standard as yet. Maybe you never know with Premier League, but I think yeah, they could finish second. They are most probably they're highly likely to finish second, but it could be one of those seasons like the last season.
And just one more point I wanted to add. It also tells you how important it is to manage your players in
Yeah,
terms of the injuries and stuff. You know, if the exact same thing happened to Liverpool where Mane or Salah go down, it does become difficult for us to get points too. It just goes to show how important it is to keep your players fit. Something that fans I think typically don't consider as much.
yeah. Another
Yeah,
team
I
that I just
agree.
wanted to
Agree.
throw in is
So
there. I think I know it might just be an early rush, but I think one can still expect a little higher. Some great things from Everton. I think because they've got a serial winner there. The man who's in charge right now, I think he's the one who makes me say some big things about the team. And
Yeah.
James Rodriguez has really lit up the Premier League, man. What a signing!
yeah, Everton have been fantastic. Everton have been really good. They've been clever with their signings.
Yeah,
Initially the outlay seemed like an outlay on a lot of older players, on the wrong side of their twenties, the later half of the twenties. If you see with Dukure, if you look at even Allen and obviously James Rodriguez, but I think it shows that there was foresight, there was thought behind signing those players. At least for the
Mm.
start of the season, they started very well. I think
Yep.
their biggest test would be the Merseyside derby. I think 2 weeks after this fixture, this
Yep.
current coming game week. Another crazy match that we saw. You mentioned Chelsea as one of your nearest rivals. So I'll first come to Anurag with this. You know, we saw quite a crazy turnaround with Chelsea. First of all, how bad were they to concede 3 goals to West Brom, especially the way they kept on getting exposed and the individual errors, especially the one from Thiago as well. And then for them to have the fortitude to come back. Now, do we end this as a positive because the last experience of the match that you had with them actually claiming that point, or do we again say the questions have been laid bare at the feet of Lampard? Again, I did not think Werner or Havertz were so great either in the second half. But I don't think they were the reasons that Chelsea drew the match. And is he having some initial teething issue there?
yeah. I think the number of signings that they've made, especially the number of first team signings that
Yep.
he's made, it's very difficult for that team to get used to each other very instantly. And Kai Havertz is one of those, when you bring in a new attacking midfielder, he has to know everyone properly. He has to know what kind of runs everyone makes, how smart the other people are. I think he still didn't get a hang of it. I think that is fine. Mason Mount maybe has a better hang of things than Kai Havertz has as of now. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Chelsea to maybe just get that team uh, well adjusted and well accustomed to each other. I think that is the case, and I think it's going to continue for a few more games. But I think they should be really taking the positives out of it rather than just crying over whatever happened. Yeah, defensive howlers, yes. Thiago Silva, of all the people, he's not someone who's known to do it. I think maybe because of the fact that he hasn't played in some time, and maybe the new English environment. English environment is always a little difficult for any person coming out from a country like Paris. So it's very cold and everything. It sometimes gets a little difficult for them to get used to. So maybe that could be one of the factors. You never know, but yeah, it was surprising to see Thiago Silva. I think even at the age of 40, he wouldn't have committed that error at PSG because he's good. He's very good. Let's not debate on that, obviously. So yeah, I think the Howlers were very, very stupid, and the goals that they considered were horrible. But at the same time, they did come back, and I think Lampard has to take the positives out of it. It's as I said, it's like an entirely new team right now, so it's going to take a bit of time. Even Chelsea fans, I think they understand that they just have to maintain their patience for some time. This could happen because they were not able to maintain any sort of possession against Brighton in the first game, and they could have lost that
Yeah,
as well. They could have lost
yeah,
that. They
they
very
could have.
easily could have lost that.
Yes, yes. I think Brighton have been one of the most surprising teams of the entire new season because everyone's enamored by the style of play. Sushil, another match that probably must have raised a lot of eyebrows was West Ham absolutely taking Wolves to the cleaners.
Yep.
Do not quite understand what really happened. All the three teams which ended up playing the European state
Mm.
football towards the latter stages have either started really poorly or have, even if they managed to sneak in a couple of wins, they've looked incredibly susceptible in those wins. Their players seem to be still on vacation. The lethargy is there. I mean, how much of a difference has it made? Because and how long do you think this will continue? Because this is completely out of character for Wolves. Even if they lose,
Yep.
they tend not to get thrashed, especially with West Ham.
Yeah, I think that was, for me personally, that was the surprise result of the weekend more than any of
Truly,
the others.
right.
Um, you're right. I think the key factor there is probably, fatigue more than anything else. And it wasn't just Wolves, it showed in a lot of other teams that played this week. And I think you'll see more and more of it as we get deeper into the season. Um, I think something people don't understand or appreciate is how much physical stress the players go under as they go season by season. Um, and in this particular situation with COVID, I think it's really messed with a lot of teams' plans. Coming back to the match itself, I thought West Ham actually played well. They've had a tough couple of years since they moved to the new stadium, but I thought yesterday they were really, really solid. And it wasn't like the goals were all fluky or anything of that sort. They were good goals. Antonio was really good. Whether this is a turning point for them, it's hard to say. Um, but at least they got the 3 points. And for a team that's, on the other side of the table, it's important to, really get the 3 points and get the goal
Yeah,
difference up. It'll help you later in the season. Wolves, I think you just brush it off. These things happen. It happens with Leicester, it happened with Everton, it happens with all the teams that are sort of aiming for the European spots. You just brush it off and move along. Um, but you're right. The concern remains: is this fatigue going to be long term? Is it, and if it is long term, it's obviously going to affect teams that are playing in Europe more so than just the teams that are playing in the Premier League and the cups. So it's an interesting theme that you've picked up on, and I think we need to keep an eye on it. But as far as the game itself goes, kudos to West Ham, and I think Wolves will bounce back from this.
Yeah, I mean, one would expect them to bounce back because
Yeah.
they've been very consistent in their stay in the Premier League.
Right.
And Espirito Nuno Santos just signed a new contract. They've had
Mm.
like what I think 6 or 7 incomings and similarly like 5 or 6 outgoings as well. So
Yep.
they've been
Totally
very
10
active in.
Portuguese players.
Yeah, they have a
Yeah.
set of 10 Portuguese players. Just need one more for an 11. I'm sure they'll probably sign one in Jan. I'm sure just to complete the set. Yeah, I mean, in my notes it says talk about transfers, but this is the most ridiculous time of the
Yeah.
year as well, especially the fag end of the summer transfer window. See a lot of deals which you never thought would go through. One thing
Yeah.
that really jumped to me was Lazio club, which got into the Champions League, has gone in for Andres Pereira, and they were in for David Silva. So I don't
Yeah.
know how the mighty have fallen, what has happened. I don't know who's scouting for them, what is he smoking. I guess we need to get in touch with him or her, because I don't understand how do you go from David Silva to Andres Pereira. I mean, it's not even the same plane. I guess I have to go diagonally down something like that. Sushil, any transfer rumors or any transfers that have stuck out to you, that left you a little bewildered as in why the hell are you doing this?
Uh, Not really. Nothing crazy. I think the one that you mentioned was probably the craziest. Uh, I think this all, so everything that's happening these days just ties back to COVID, right?
Yeah,
I think it's really distorted the market in weird ways. There are a lot of clubs that are just trying to balance their books and they're trying to get rid of players at valuations that probably won't hold, pre-COVID. Weird transfers. I saw something on. I remember Bayern were trying to bid for who's the right back? Lamptey.
Lamptey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And
That's a little. Yeah.
that didn't. I mean, unless they're planning to move Kimmich more permanently into midfield, I was like, that doesn't make sense. So there are a lot of weird things that go around this time of the window. A lot of it is to drive up prices, right? But what I'd say about the transfer window in general this time around is you're right. You'll see a lot of weird transfers that you wouldn't expect just because a lot of people are trying to sign, let's say, a certain player and they can't get them for whatever reason. They tend to default to a plan B, and the plan Bs that are available in the market right now are just, not that great. And COVID's partially the reason behind that. So,
Yeah, I agree there.
mhm.
Anurag, anything that's just caught your fancy there? I mean, there are a lot of things you could talk about.
Yeah.
I would suggest that let's not keep this United heavy because then that's a separate show altogether.
Mhm.
I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll be rest assured for the TSD viewers. We'll do a transfer focus. After
Yeah.
this. For at least the top 6 clubs, and I think we'll have to include Leicester and Everton there as well.
Indeed.
So like the top 8, top 9 clubs, and we'll just have a look about how their business has been. But anything in England or beyond England, we've had some interesting transfers. Sushil talked about balancing the books. I think Pjanic
Indeed.
and Arthur was a deal wherein Barca needed the liquidity there, and
Yeah.
it's the same case with Semedo as well. I think Wolves have a shady buyback option. And then
Mm.
Yeah.
a couple of other deals with like Trincao and everything else. So
Yeah. Leicester just, I think Fabrizio Romano just about an hour ago, he gave a confirmation that Wesley Fofana has
that's a good
signed for
transfer.
them. So that's a good deal for them. I think around about 40 million is price that he's mentioned in his tweet. So that is one of the major news. And yeah, I was about to mention Lamptey. So, but that really seemed a little weird for me. But yeah, I
Mm.
think one can understand. I think that he really fits the Bayern profile, the very pacey. Imagine Lamptey and Alfonso
And
Davies' pace.
I,
That is going to
I
be
actually
horrible.
was thinking that.
Yeah, that is going to be, that could have been, but yeah, that I don't think that's going to happen. I
Yeah.
think Lamptey would prefer staying at Brighton and making a name in that rapidly improving team rather than going and sitting on the Bayern bench. I think that this is what he'd rather do. And yeah, again, the one of the biggest, I think perhaps the biggest transfer gossip of this entire transfer window was Jadon Sancho, and it has been dragged on and dragged on and dragged on. And after so long, Manchester United today they made a bit is what. A lot of the top tier one sources have been reporting, and that was an 80 million euros plus a 20 million add-on bid, which is almost the overall bid is like 20 million short of the valuation that Dortmund have given initially. So obviously, for obvious reasons, Dortmund straight away have slapped that away. That got rejected is the news that we are hearing. So in the days to come, maybe we could see that deal. If not develop, I won't say developing. You never know. I think COVID is one good reason that United board could give if this deal doesn't transpire. In an ideal world, I think I would have said that deal will go on. But looking at how United deals with transfers, they do this for, I don't know, for clicks purpose or what it is, and eventually at the end of the transfer window they get that done. But maybe COVID could be one of the reasons why they wouldn't do it. I think you will see some more bids going in. I think second or third one, you never know.
I, I don't know. I think you never know is the best way to leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about Sushil, your
No,
two
I was
cents
just
so
going to
far.
say, any thoughts on Aura moving to Arsenal?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that
Again, I
happens,
think the Arsenal valuations are too low.
Low. I
If
think
they
that's
don't
a
get it up, I
constant.
don't think it's going to be difficult.
no,
Yeah.
I think they could again structure a deal like what they did with
Yeah.
Nicolas Pepe. I think Arsenal need a couple of players to move out. I think Pereira is almost certain to head
Mm.
out. I think they'll probably get Kolasinac out of the wage bill as well. They've not been able to move out Ozil. I don't think they will be able to. I think they'll end up paying his entire contract.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think Jose Moura, I think would
That
be
can
a
be a good signing for them, but yeah,
would be a very good signing. I think that's someone who the Arsenal were missing last night as well.
Yeah.
truly,
Someone
yeah.
who
Yeah.
could create from the middle. Who could sort of dribble with the ball and everything else. But yeah, so it's we just have a comment from Prathamesh talk about 40 million plus £1 for Suarez by
Suarez.
Arsenal. Yeah, that is a stupid deal. What my brother was joking. He's saying, whatever Atleti offered, Arsenal should have just added a pound on it and taken Suarez as the backup striker. Like, would have been a bad option considering the way Suarez
Yeah.
started his athletic career. But yeah, coming at you spoke about Jadon Sancho, Anurag. I'll start with Sushil here. Talking about Jadon Sancho, about him being linked to United and everything else, we'll probably leave the transfer rumors aside here because they are the rumors as of now. United take on Tottenham. In the match that we have in focus for the.
Yep.
Just a second. I think another small point that I want to add. So
Yeah.
Jadon Sancho has not traveled to Munich for the
Yeah,
Bayern Munich game,
yeah,
and
he's
he
not.
has
He's
not
not.
tested positive. So something
Yeah.
to keep in mind.
He's supposed to. The official line from Dortmund is that him and Berkey have some respiratory illnesses or something
Yeah.
like that, but it's not. It's
It's
not
not
But
corona.
you
COVID.
never know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not COVID. So yeah. Let's hope he's first of all that he's healthy, that he's fine. Of
Yeah.
course, that's the most important
That's
thing. But if it's a power play for a move, come on, Jadon, just pack your bags already. For Sushil, so talking
Yeah.
about the club that he supposedly, allegedly might just, in some another parallel universe might come to. United take on Spurs at an empty Old Trafford, of course. So I guess the home stadium advantage doesn't count for that much anyway. But
Yeah.
they take on a former manager who's now sort of found some sort of form. I guess
Yeah.
he's sort of found good PR through the Amazon documentary, which
I
makes
was
you
gonna bring
forget.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes you forget what an absolute gross piece of flip he's been over the past 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
Leave that half a season at Chelsea out. He's been absolutely, oh my god, horrible to watch. Never really appreciated his reign at United. Never felt he should have been appointed in the first place. Now that he's a Spurs, what do you see them? Do you see, even knowing that Bale isn't available, Reguilon is playing against Chelsea as we speak, so
Yep.
he might
He
start that
won't.
game. So he might start the United game, Reguilon. He might. So what do you think? How do you think that game might go?
I think I would give the edge to Spurs in that game. And by edge, I mean typically you expect the home team to win. Spurs might come away with a point, or they may win outright. The reason I give them an edge is because I watched them play in the previous game. He was something
Brilliant.
else, man. It was, yeah. He was on form. Kane
Yeah,
looked in
just
form, and yeah.
right. Son's out
Yeah,
with
yeah,
a
yeah.
hamstring injury.
Oh, yeah. So maybe not as much of a factor. But yeah, so I think Kane's still going to be on point for them. They still have Bergwijn. Mourinho has this weird thing against Dele Alli, and not that Dele Alli has been playing very well, but he doesn't
Yeah,
like including.
he's been left out tonight as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Lately.
yeah. But anyway, I guess coming back to the game itself, I think Tottenham have a slight edge. I think, like when we were talking about Wolves just now, I said there were certain other teams that seemed gassed. United was one of them. I think they were really struggling to go up and down the pitch at certain points of the game. Um, and whether that carries through into the Tottenham game, we'll find out. But I think that might be a factor there. In terms of Man United's team, I think you guys can probably speak about Donny van de Beek and how he's sort of gelling in the squad. But I think overall, attacking wise, you guys have been decent. Uh, that's the thing. I'm not really able to pick between the two, but I want to give the benefit to Tottenham. I've seen more of them this season, and I've seen them play better this season,
Yeah.
especially in that game. So I've actually seen them perform this season. I think with Manu, we're yet to see that one game where they, take the step up and set the tone for the rest of the season. So let's see. I'm in some senses it's a coin flip for me with the home advantage eliminated, but I think I'll give Tottenham the benefit in this game.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough there.
Yeah.
Anurag, as Susheel did mention, United haven't had that breakout or breakthrough performance for this season at least. It's not just that. There are many other issues with United. There is the absolute circus that is the United board that is there, and the whole transfer rumors, as you mentioned. I think we leave that for the final review show that we do for the end of the window. But how do you think? Do you think this will affect the morale of the squad? Luke Shaw did mention that, but at some point, I would like to think that the players should end up drowning out the noise. If you look at an 11 versus 11 shootout, it's not as if United are just absolutely outmatched or outnumbered there. Because I feel if the United 11, the first 11 does play, I think it's probably better than the Spurs 11. And in every department, I would say, apart from a susceptible centre back pairing that United have. But Spurs aren't clean sheet champions under Marino either. So
Mm.
how do you see the game going?
I have a strong feeling that could end up being a very boring game. I mean, from a neutral
Mm.
perspective, because Jose Mourinho, if he gets one goal, it's done and dusted. The neutrals can go to sleep if Spurs get the first goal. Again, I think one thing that we've noticed in the first two games Manchester United have played, they've been struggling to find those pockets of spaces, those through balls that because Bruno is the only person in the entire 11 who does that, and because Pogba, I don't know because of the uh, COVID thing that happened to him, or maybe I don't know what is the reason, but he's really looked horrible in the first two games. Uh,
Yeah.
expect Donny van de Beek to start. I'm expecting Donny van de Beek to start. I think that could be a very good in place of Pogba. I think that should be if Ole wants to communicate to his fans that he's being very forward minded, he's being very positive. I think he needs to drop Pogba for one game. I think that is one area where he was being accused a lot last year, that he was not dropping David De Gea at all when they had a Romero who's done so fabulously, man. I think whatever chances he had, he's done such a fabulous job. He never really got a good go in the league, and even when David De Gea was not doing well, he was still getting the chances. So yeah, there are certain things that we could talk about. But yeah, as you said, ideally, in an ideal world, if with both teams having enough match practice, this United team should be beating that Spurs team. But again, this is a very difficult. They don't have the usual Old Trafford noise, or this is at Old Trafford, right?
Yeah, it
Yep.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 They don't have the
It is
usual
on.
Old
It is at
Trafford
Old
noise.
Trafford.
Yeah, they don't have the usual
Yeah.
Old Trafford noise. So that's always a factor. Uh, I think Spurs will fancy themselves, but I think there is a very good chance this could end up in another 1-1 draw or something.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Oh, come on. No one wants a draw when so yeah, I'd hope. I'd
Yeah,
hope.
it's
I'd hope.
Mourinho, man. It's expected to be bland. At least if they play bland football, they'll make the others
Yeah.
play bland football. So it's that sort of a thing.
This is what he's done, Sushil. This is what he's done to fans in Mourinho.
Yeah,
And this is what
Suck
this
the
this.
life out of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah.
indeed.
So
But
yeah.
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 Sorry, I just wanted to ask you guys, how are you guys liking Van de Beek? I saw.
the little we saw, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
How much have we seen him? The
Very
problem
little.
is, he might end up playing tomorrow night as well in the Carabao Cup. But again, if he ends up playing with Igalo, are you really seeing Van de Beek? Because he ends up playing with such
Yeah.
poor players. He has to play in the first team, and the first team he got like what 1 or 2 minutes against Brighton, or just just the stoppage time versus Brighton,
Right.
and
And he
it
made that.
ended it.
I think most players in the United 11 won't have gotten to that. If you remember how the corner happened, which led the whole penalty incident.
Yeah.
Van de Beek reached there because he has the pace, and and he just came in fresh legs. I think that
At this,
I actually thought that went over the line, and that could have been a goal kick, and that could have been an entirely different scenario. But yeah,
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
contribution.
and at this point, I feel Van de Beek should definitely start over Pogba,
Yeah, true.
because Pogba doesn't look match fit at all, and it's just that frustration with Pogba keeps growing, and then even when he warrants criticism, he gets too much of criticism. So
Yeah.
it's really as far as United are concerned on the whole, man, it's I I can tell you tonight that we'll be sitting here next summer and we'll watch Liverpool in the 20th title, and we'll watch someone else with the Champions League, and United might have struggled to a fourth spot and everything else. So that's not there is no as such there is no optimism for the season going ahead, regardless of whatever happens in the window with United. Anyway, yeah, this is coming back from this. Thank you so much, guys. I don't want to end it on such a somber note. Final predictions from your side, Susheel, and I'll also give mine at the end.
For Tottenham Manu, I'll go 1-0 Tottenham, or maybe let's make it 1-1 Tottenham Manu. Yeah.
So it's the same for you, Anurag?
Ideally, I think Mainz is 1-1, Hearts is 2-1 United.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be a little ballsy. I'll go 2-0 United. You never know. You live only once.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a lengthy one, but really enjoyed it. I think we'll see you all next week as well. So let's hope for some interesting games, especially for the Spurs United match. Let's hope it is at least as interesting as the Arsenal Liverpool match in terms of the match play.
Yeah.
Though it's highly unlikely that would happen. Once again, thank you so much for joining, guys, and thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe the video. Do spread the word, and let's hope for an interesting match day.